Hey, welcome back to Critical Babe Theory. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Francesca.
And I'm a survivor of getting woke DEI canceled.
Mm-hmm. You heard it here first.
I can't remember what year. A few years ago, I was accused of using oppressive language in an email at an unnamed institution. And I had to issue a public apology for said oppressive language. And I'm just so glad that we're living in a country where that sort of thing doesn't happen anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're politically incorrect. What's the worst thing that happens?
You can just get deported.
Deported to El Salvador? No problem.
I hear the sun there's really bright.
Yeah. Especially in the prisons. I'm sure you see a lot of that.
Totally. A lot of fluorescent bright lighting for sure.
So that's kind of a bummer.
Mm-hmm. But you know what they always say? There's a silver lining to everything. Maybe you can really find yourself in Salvadorian prison.
And if it turns out you did nothing wrong, too bad.
Because, as the administration said recently, even if about Mr. Garcia, what's his name? I have it somewhere. They said, even if we wanted to get him back, even if we paid, I don't know if there's any way we could.
Yeah, there's no way, even though America's paying El Salvador to hold these people.
And what is this man's crime? I think he was wearing like a Chicago Bulls outfit in like a maybe like a Walmart or like a...
Do you want me to fact check?
No, I don't. He was in a big box store wearing a Chicago Bulls outfit, which is maybe correlated to being in a gang. That was the accusation. And then...
What if you're just a fan of the Chicago Bulls?
Exactly. So it's like, are they like anti-sports? Anti-drip? Or like, right? Do you remember, did you watch all those commercials they were so embarrassing during the like Super Bowl, like the NFL drip,
I don't
whatever.
watch football.
I know you don't watch football. And I'm also aware that like the Bulls are not a football team. My point is just like, are they anti-big sports? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I was reading that also like other people who got sent to El Salvador, who got deported there, I guess like Trump has accused them all of being part of this Venezuelan gang called Tren de Agua, but there was like a 60 Minutes investigation and it was like 75% of them had no criminal record. And then the evidence produced by the Trump administration included a photo that one man took of him doing the rock on sign. Okay. Like how...
Like
insane.
If that's the bar, dude, they're coming for everybody.
Tell me you don't have a photo somewhere of you with the rock on sign, okay? We all do probably from middle school.
Totally.
We were doing all kinds of peace sign, whatever.
I mean, or just, there was actually a trend also when I was in middle school of like actually throwing up gang signs amongst the white youth.
Yeah,
which is
totally.
a whole
Classic
conversation, but...
Classic middle school behavior.
Yeah, for sure.
And also, like, what if you're just a rocker and you want to live a rock and roll lifestyle? Is that illegal, Mr. Trump?
Yeah. Well, and the other thing, in all seriousness, is that it just came out, was it yesterday? That now the administration will be monitoring the social media feeds of immigrants, which may even mean legal permanent residents, it seems, based on their recent behavior, for any anti-Semitic activity, which could mean even liking a post of an organization that discusses the rights of Palestinians in some capacity.
Mm-hmm.
And that alone would be grounds for deportation.
Yeah. So something important to know, in case you didn't know, is that anyone, regardless of their immigration status, who is in America has constitutional rights, which include freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, and due process. So the Trump administration has recently taken several actions that I would argue are anti-constitutional, including this recent announcement. because in America, unlike like China, you can post shit online.
Or even less than post, you can like shit online and you don't get in trouble. So I guess what I want to say is that, like, I think what's really cool about the Trump administration is, like, now he's bringing us, he's like, this is China shit.
Yeah.
He's like literally, he's like, he's always talking all this shit about not liking the Chinese Communist Party. But this is like really giving Chinese Communist Party.
We're doing China.
Yeah. Which,
China.
like, yeah.
As Trump would say.
Which is like, as his avowed forever enemy, it's a surprising rhetorical move, right? In the ongoing battle we are seeing unfolding in the stock market and in the economy, which I have to say, like, Sarah and I were talking about this because, like, for a minute I was like, oh my God, is Trump like the degrowth, anti-free trade, end of globalism, like Marxist president that everybody's been dreaming of? And I was like, he's literally single-handedly gonna collapse the world economy. And, like, I'm not that into free trade, like, intellectually, you know? So I was kind of like, okay, cool, I'm here for this. I'm interested to see what he does. And then, of course, like a little fucking bitch, he caves after what? Like 5 days of the market looking bad?
This was a Trump post on truthsocial.com 5 days ago, all caps. To the many investors coming into the United States and investing massive amounts of money, my policies will never change. This is a great time to get rich, richer than ever before. That was 5 days ago, and he's already rolled it all back.
I know. He hasn't rolled it all. He's only going in the acceleration with China, which I think is also interesting is like all of the kind of like liberal legacy media was all like flipping out about the tariffs. Like, it's as if nobody's like gotten the memo still to like just be chill because things change so fast.
The amount of podcasts I listened to, like The Daily, where they were like, things will never be the same. This is a day that will go down in history. And it's like 5 days later.
Yeah, totally. And I was talking to my friend the other day, and I was like talking about how I knew some people who were freaking out about the stock market. And she was just like, it was such a girl take on the stock market. She's like, ugh. She's like, anybody who's flipping out about the stock market is fucking dumb. She's like, look at what it always does. What does it do? It just goes up. You have to hold tight, you know? And I felt like I was like getting a little sales speech, investment speech from my friend. But I was like, but you know, if you would like are listening to the legacy media, you're like, I don't know. But then of course, you know, everything's like back to business as usual, which to me is disappointing because I was just like, for a moment, I was like, okay, this guy really does want to shake things up. He really does want a new world order. Like, that's, at least at the minimum, that's exciting.
Francesca doesn't give a fuck about your Shein haul.
I don't. I'm actually super anti-fast fashion.
Same.
Which is, I guess, affiliated with being a snob.
It makes life harder, honestly. Because, like, if you don't have, this is such a side thing.
Go.
But, like, if you don't have the money to, like, buy clothes that are not fast fashion, I just, like, you know, I never have staples.
You know, this bitch never has staples. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm not super qualified to talk about this because I am like a bougie rich bitch who buys nice shit. So I feel like, can I speak on this without being crucified? Maybe I'll go for it anyway. My take in life is like, if you don't buy cheap stuff, then you can save up and you buy like nice stuff every once in a while that you care for 10 to 15 years. Because the whole point, I think the precipice that we're at with capitalism is that like it's so frictionless, it's so easy to get cheap goods from like Temu or whatever the newest like Chinese e-commerce platform is, where you can like get literal fucking garbage that might show up in your mailbox already broken, but who cares, you paid 79 cents for it with like, and there was no export fees on it, which like that's changing now, right? Because it was under $800. But it's like the whole problem is like we cannot live in a world where things are so easy to get, where consumerism is so simple and so cheap, because there is no free lunch. It's being paid for somewhere. It's being paid for in industrial waste, right? In fast fashion, if you've seen the mountains of trash clothes thrown in the desert in like Chile and shit. You know what I mean? Because why do they put them there? Because it's so dry, they don't rot. They just sit there. I don't know why they do it there. It seems like a lot of, like, the idea that you would have clothes that could not sell, so then you would move them across continents to put them in a desert in a pile. Like, any system where that's the solution is not a system that is functioning. And so we as consumers, as the top consumers in the world, right, because our American consumerism drives this whole market. And I thought for a minute Trump was going to take it down and turn us into like a second use society where we reduce, reuse, and recycle and care for our goods. And alas, that dream has been broken. But if you live in a world where everything's so easy, like, we're going to destroy ourselves. We have to get used to having some difficulty between me and my desires.
Totally. So you're telling me that you don't want Chinese children with their little fingers making your sneakers?
I don't want that. No, I want the
anti-progress. Anti-progress.
I am against progress. I am like, I kind of got taken to task by a man for this, so we should maybe have him on to mansplain to me why my opinion is so wrong. But I'm like sort of degrowth adjacent. But that's a whole other topic.
That's cool.
Down the road. Yeah.
Just like on the same topic, I have a friend who kind of, for various reasons, but like including like the economic instability, was like, I have to buy land. So last weekend, I drove her upstate and we like went to see this property that she was like, would have been able to buy in cash, but it was like just a very steep hill. She was like, worst comes to worst, I pitch a tent, okay?
No,
a subsistence farm.
But she's got to think about like, what's the flooding situation?
Well, the flood she would have.
Yeah, right? Like, what's the erosion situation? How old is the tree growth on the land? What are your neighbors doing? Because often neighbors, they'll kind of creep on that property line. Are they shooting? Do you know what I mean? Are they into hunting? You got a lot of questions you got to ask yourself.
Yeah, she's not going to buy the hill. It was not realistic. But I think that the point is, for these past few days, everybody has been like, my retirement savings are disappearing. I need to buy the steep hill so I can have somewhere to live, you know, when the economy crashes. And then meanwhile, the U.S. government is stripping us of our constitutional rights. Dun, dun, dun.
Do you know what I mean? Like, rope-a-dope, right?
Bread and circus. Oh, now you have your stock market back. Thanks, Donald Trump.
Totally. Yeah. I do kind of feel like I would buy gold bars, though, if I had the resources.
I'm like, where do people get gold bars?
I don't know, but don't you kind of want to go there?
Yeah.
Like, just like,
how much is a gold bar?
Oh, it's really high right now. I want to say it's somewhere in the 40Ks, like 40K, but I could be totally wrong about that. But the last time I checked up on it, I think that was the neighborhood, which is like, it's at an all-time high because of economic instability. But like, how tight would it be to just like go to a little storage unit where like your gold was just waiting for you?
That would be tight. I would like that.
So maybe that's part of our economic outlook for America. What did you say? Like a turkey in every pot and a jewel pod, a mango jewel pod in every jewel.
All Americans want.
Yeah, but so you could just add like a gold bar.
And a gold bar, one single gold bar.
Next to their turkey or something. I just feel like that'd be tight.
Well, I personally am not invested in the stock market.
Mm-hmm. So you're kind of like a bystander.
My great-grandpa, actually, he said, when my great-grandma was pregnant with my grandma, he said, if it's a boy, I'm investing all of it in land. And if it's a girl, I'm investing it all in the stock market. And you know what? It was a girl, and then it was the Great Depression. Yes. And that's why I've never invested in the stock market. Actually, it's because I have no money. But I did once get, like, really addicted to Ethereum. Like, I put $1,000 in Ethereum and then just like watched it all day long for like weeks.
And then what happened?
I made $100 and then I like lost it.
That's all you made? And then you sold when you were down?
Like a week, yeah.
You didn't buy the dip?
No, it was bad for me. Gambling. It was gambling.
Gambling. I mean, that's the other thing I think we just forget about is like we just have all of these like high stakes poker degenerates like running the world economy. I know some. Do you know what I mean? Like they're just degenerate gamblers.
Like the stock market bros.
Yeah. Like if you've hung out with like card shark degenerates, like they're closely related.
Yeah, it's not real.
Yeah, I mean, but people get all like whoa about it.
The stock is up. The stock is down.
Yeah, it's just a game. I don't know. As my friend Valentine said, it's a psychic jungle out there.
Damn.
You know?
Damn.
It is a psychic jungle out there, particularly at the moment where you could get lifted off the street. Like, what was that chick's name?
Oh, yeah.
Just for writing a super dry op-ed in your college newspaper.
Rumesa Ozturk.
Yeah. She is A.
Is
she in hiding or? No,
she's in Louisiana in ICE detention.
Oh,
So, do you want me to give a little?
Yeah.
Okay, so Rumesa Ozturk, she is a Turkish national in the USA on a student visa. She was a doctoral student at Tufts University, and she was detained by ICE on March 25th. If you haven't seen the video, it's pretty horrifying. Like, a bunch of plainclothes ICE officers take her off of the street. And so she was in, where's Tufts? Boston area?
Oh, maybe?
Regardless, they moved her.
Oh, yeah, because she's in Massachusetts. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So they moved her to Louisiana because the Trump administration wants to try these cases in the more conservative courts. Mm-hmm. And she hasn't been charged with any crime, but the Department of Homeland Security said that they found that she was engaged in activities in support of Hamas, a U.S. designated terrorist group. So we'll talk about this, but she was not engaged in activities.
She literally wrote the driest op-ed signed on by like 5 other students as well. Yeah. So it's not like she wrote it by herself. That was so dry. Even I, with my Ivy League education, could not read it because I got so bored so fast. The only thing of note in it, and it basically is calling for Tufts to divest from a certain list of companies that are they Israeli companies or just do business with Israel, whatever. That's what it calls for. It quotes James Baldwin, which is like also pretty like 101 college stuff. And that's it.
There's no calls to violence. It's like urging the university to acknowledge the Palestinian genocide, disclose its investments, and divest from companies with ties to Israel. And then it invokes in 1989 when Tufts divested from South Africa during the apartheid, and how that was 10 years later than other universities had begun to divest. And that was it.
That's all she did.
That's her pro-Hamas propaganda.
And she got lifted off the streets, and she's in Louisiana, like down the river. You know what I mean?
And she has not been charged with any crime. And as far as I can tell, the only evidence they have against her is this op-ed, which is like the definition of free speech. Writing an op-ed.
Also, I just want to point out that like the boycott, divest, and sanction movement is like a non-violent approach to putting international pressure on Israel, right? So mm-hmm. It's like it's not violent. It's just attempting to like put economic pressure on them to change their policies, which like if you're looking at different techniques to create change in the world is like that's got to be one of the kind of most pretty gentle. Do you know what I mean? Like that is not that is not crazy. That's a very respectful way to go about trying to put pressure. You know, so the fact that even calling for that is being so criminalized to me is crazy. It would be one thing if she were saying some like wild shit about violence or blah, blah, but like literally all she's saying is to put economic pressure on Israel.
Yeah, which to be clear, if she had been saying more wild shit, like that is free speech, but she was not.
But this is the most like banal, I guess that's like this op-ed and what she wrote in conjunction with 5 other students or something is so banal. And the fact that it landed her in Louisiana, I believe a judge ruled that she needs to be taken back to not Massachusetts but Vermont for some reason.
Her case was moved to Vermont because she was held there overnight on her way down to Louisiana.
Got it.
And I think a judge is considering a request to have her moved, but she's still currently there.
And then something even crazier, our next person, the chick from South.
Wait, just really quickly, I just want to say about BDS, it's like literally like, don't buy SodaStream. Like that's, you know, like it's like don't go to Starbucks. It's like that's it.
It's not radical.
Yeah, so I think when we're talking about like, oh, the violent language in the pro-Palestinian movement, it's like, okay, you gotta pick a lane. Like there has to be some way that people can express their beliefs and dissent
without being criminalized.
This isn't China.
This isn't China, right? Because again, this is giving China shit.
Yeah. And so she and a bunch of other people, just something I want to mention is this, have you heard of the Canary Mission?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
It's an anonymously run website that's like doxing professors and students that it labels as anti-Israel or anti-Semitic. And so if you go to the Canary Mission website, like her LinkedIn profile is there. Like it doesn't even link to the op-ed. It's super weird.
Yeah.
It doesn't have anything. It just like announces that she's anti-Israel. And I think that like clearly the government is looking at this website.
Oh, wow.
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
Because people get posted to this website and then they get like
because it's also not like the government, this administration has shown itself to be good at like doing the research on any topic. So it would make sense that they would go to like one website that would do the work for them.
Yeah.
So that tracks.
Who did you want to talk about next?
Who's the chick who is a legal permanent resident and lived here since she was 7? And she moved from South Korea when she was 7.
I'm just pulling up her name. I think it's Yoon Seo Chung.
So this chick, literally, I believe all she did, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is she just went to a pro-Palestinian protest. This is a girl who's been a legal permanent resident of the United States since she was 7. I think she's in her early 20s, maybe?
She's 21.
21. Okay, so she's lived here for the majority of her life, right? She's now gone into hiding because ICE is trying to find her. Her lawyers will not speak to where she's at because they're threatening to detain her even though she's lived here since she was 9 and she's a legal permanent resident just for attending a demonstration.
That's like anti-American. Oh, we didn't even give our bona fides. Our credentials.
Okay, sure, let's do that now.
Before you call us anti-Semitic, we'll tell you that I am Jewish, okay? I am the offspring of a Jewish person. Like Jesus Christ, I was born a Jew and then I was baptized. But I like looked it up, and under like Hitler's Germany, I would be considered a full Jew. Something that I feel proud to say and proud to be.
And you know, it's Hitler's definition is going to be the definition we're going to work with here. You know
like
I mean?
some
Obviously.
Orthodox and conservative Jews would not consider me a real Jew because my mother's not Jewish, but
as my former father-in-law used to say, if you were a Jew enough for Hitler, you were a Jew. So
I was about to say amen, but I don't think Jews say that. I have a brother that works in a bagel store. I have multiple family members who work in the media and show business, okay? So I've loved Jews. We love Zabars.
I mean, this is being recorded literally in the Zionist capital of America, the Upper West Side.
And we love the Upper West Side.
We love the Upper West Side. I'm a regular at Barney Greengrass, the best bagel in the city. You got to go there. Get the latkes. They're off. They're not on the menu, but they're fab. So my bona fides are I just keep like marrying Jewish men. And then I have their children.
So you love Jews.
So I also love Jews. Yeah. And yes. And my daughters present as shiksas, but unclear how they would fare under Hitler. So
let's not even
yeah,
think
we're not even
about
gonna
it.
think about it.
But
so those are our bona fides.
so don't come at us accusing us of being anti-Semitic. We love Jews. We are Jews.
Please. And then I think that this is like the larger issue, which is the conflation of criticism of Israel with being anti-Semitic, where I believe this is the only time in history where an ethnic religious group has been equaled with a nation state. Am I correct in that?
I don't know.
I don't think that's a very usual setup. And there's like a lot of propaganda being tossed around trying to equate Jewish people with Israel, which just like as a mental exercise is a stretch.
I'll qualify that. I'll say it, to some extent it is true. I think to deny, the state of Israel was created because other countries did not want all these Jews. They were turning their ships around, So I think, I don't want to deny that there's no validity to, that connection and that the connection that people feel to Israel. Now, but I also don't think that excuses or permits the horrifying situation in Gaza.
Sure, but I guess what I want to get into is is the hill that Israel really wants to die on that they are considered like the ethno-nationalist model for white supremacists in America who want to create a Christian state? I don't know. I wouldn't want to be the model for that personally, But those circles do talk about Israel as like being the best example in the world of like an ethno-nationalist state.
Yeah.
So just to put that out there. Those seem like funny bedfellows, but are they so funny?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, also Israel is specifically being run by an extremely hard right government, and Benjamin Netanyahu is a psychopath.
Totally. A psychopath who cannot be inconvenienced.
Okay, so I want to let everyone know. Benjamin Netanyahu has it really hard. Let me find this. So recently he underwent a surgery, and here we go. Recently he underwent a surgery. I believe he got his prostate removed. So feel better soon.
Yeah.
And he was coming to America in February, and this is a quote from the Israeli ambassador to the U.S. When the prime minister came here last month, he had to fly 13 and a half hours, a trip that should have taken 12 hours. People don't know this, but the reason is because he couldn't land anywhere in Europe. He had just had surgery. He came with 2 doctors, and they told him he may have to land for treatment. But if he were to land anywhere in Europe, he could be arrested as a war criminal. So he had to fly over American army bases, 13 and a half hours.
Totally. So much duress, so much hardship for him. I just also want to point out, who else is on that list that we found that the International Criminal Court accused of war crimes?
So if you didn't know, Benjamin Netanyahu, there is a warrant out for his arrest by the ICC. He's been accused of being a war criminal. So this list includes Joseph Kony, Gaddafi, Putin. Okay, so Duterte. They're not really fucking around.
Yeah, totally. The Serbian dude who killed everybody, probably too, there somewhere. It's not great bedfellows for him. Do you know what I mean? It's not like this list is full of people with sterling characters and unfounded accusations against them.
Yeah, I think that starving an entire population of people is a war crime.
Clearly.
And the audacity of him to be I was inconvenienced for an hour and a half when he is responsible for the death of at least 50,000 Palestinians.
there's just like a failure of proportion, a moral abdication.
I also heard that he like brings his laundry when he comes to the US.
What?
Yeah, like I heard that he and his wife like pack their laundry so they can have it done at the White House. Like, you know how like if you go upstate, you like bring your laundry?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, just, you know, it's like.
Yeah, because the White House does such good laundry.
I think they like I don't know, they don't have to pay to do their laundry or something. This could be totally a rumor. But that's what I heard.
I mean, if I could go to somebody who would like literally do magic with my laundry, remove any stain, fix any. I mean, I guess I imagine this is kind of like all these old world abilities. Like who can fucking make lace anymore? Do you know what I mean? Like all lace used to be handmade. Is there anybody who still does that? Like where do you go to get the real bougie shit?
This is real. I'm just looking it up. It's true. They bring suitcases of dirty laundry. What a metaphor. But yes, you make a good point. Hard to find.
It's just so hard to find good needlework these days.
Good help is so hard to find. And that's the true
and they can't even find Netanyahu can't even find it in his own nation. Wow.
Okay, so deportations.
Mm-hmm. It could happen to you.
It could happen to you. Do we want to talk about Mahmoud Khalil?
Sure.
So I guess like the name on everyone's lips, Mahmoud Khalil. He is a Palestinian. He was born in a refugee camp in Syria. His grandparents were forced out of what is now Israel by British troops in the 1947-1948 Civil War, and they were refused re-entry after the war, and his family has never returned. So he is a green card holder. He's a Columbia University grad student.
And most importantly, he knocked up his American citizen wife. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And she's like
about to give birth. Yeah. So that's a bummer because he's also being held in a Louisiana detention center. And actually, an immigration judge in Louisiana has given the Trump administration roughly 24 hours to produce evidence to support its claims against him.
What are the claims? That he's like a supporter of Hamas?
Well, he hasn't been accused of any crime.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
So they have argued that his presence in the U.S. could have serious adverse foreign policy consequences, which is like an old Cold War immigration law provision. Mm-hmm. And they said that he failed to disclose certain things on his green card application, including employment at the Syria office in the British Embassy in Beirut and working for the UN Agency for Palestine Refugees. Like he is Syrian. What do you want from him? He's working at the embassy?
Totally.
He has no ties to Hamas. Well, this is fucking nuts.
Yeah.
This is fucking nuts. There is a lawsuit, okay, against a bunch of groups at Columbia University by, I think, some family members of the hostages and some current or alums of Columbia that says that these student activists had prior knowledge of October 7th.
Get out. Literally even, but you know who also had prior knowledge of October 7th?
The Israeli government.
The Israeli fucking government. And you know why they didn't listen, maybe? Because it was a woman telling them. Remember that like the intelligence officer who had the information about October 7th was a freaking chick who was, I mean, literally this is me and my brain putting things together and I don't have any evidence for this. But like, did they not listen to her because it was a girl telling them? I don't know.
Believe women.
Believe women. Totally. That's our motto. That's wild. I mean, and then to get to Columbia, which, full disclosure, my alma mater. Canceled. Also, just like so pathetic. Do you know what I mean? To just buckle like a little bitch.
All these bitches have no integrity.
They have no integrity. I was looking this up. Their endowment, so the Trump administration threatened to withhold $400 million in federal funding for their research activities. Do you know how much their endowment is as of October 2024?
No.
$14.8 billion.
How much is that in gold bars?
Would like cover the face of the entire earth or something. And I was just listening to the president of Princeton University, who is not capitulating to the administration and is actually going to fight back. And what he was talking about is how it is possible with such a large endowment like Princeton has, like Columbia has, to move things around. And like, yes, will it mean like maybe shrinking some research short term or maybe limiting some department short term. But basically what he was saying is that like where there's a will, there's a way. These are huge endowments. We can make do. It was not financially necessary for Columbia to capitulate the way it did. And just to be clear, when it agreed to those requirements of the administration, that does not guarantee the return of the $400 million in funding. It only allows them to start the conversation, and maybe they'll get that money back, which is just like even more like. So basically, there's stuff that's not that big of a drama, which is like requiring students to not wear masks on campus, although that's funny given like how hardcore America went for COVID, which we will address in the near future. Mm-hmm. But so there's no masks on campus, so people can't obscure their face. There's going to be like now a police force of like maybe I think like 38 officers who are going to be have the ability to make requests. And Columbia did have an unusual campus police force that did not make arrests and was sort of more a keep the peace force. So now that's going to change. But the biggest thing is that they're going to put a few different departments, I think the Center for Palestinian Studies and like a Middle Eastern Studies department under academic receivership, which basically means that an outside person will come and be the head of those departments and like control what they teach. So like the end of
China.
So again, the end of academic freedom. And I guess what I found so it used to be that Columbia was like I think the number 2 most difficult school to get into in the country I could be wrong.
When you went?
Yeah. When I was there. In the last 10 years because I think it like superseded Yale or something because people like wanted to be in New York City, but also get an Ivy League, blah, all this stuff. And I just have to say that the branding of like getting on your knees so fast for the administration is not a good branding look for Columbia. Do you know what I mean? Like, who are the most fired up about principals because they have literally nothing to lose? 18-year-olds.
Columbia, in a few years, Columbia is going to be like doing some land acknowledgements about this. Like, we are standing on the land that was occupied by the pro-Palestine movement. Yeah.
Totally. And I just feel like, I don't want to have anything to do with the university. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't even want to put their name in my mouth. Like, I don't have any respect for them anymore. Do you know what I mean? That they bent over that fast. I just don't think it's a long-term, it's not a good business plan. It's not a good branding thing. Like, I guarantee that their rates of people who are applying is going to go down precipitously.
Well, one of the Trump orders or whatever was that they have to like re-examine their admissions guidelines or something, which I'm like, what could that possibly mean?
I think it means like no black people. I think that's code for like, we just want white men to go.
Yeah, I mean, Columbia historically had a quota of sorts for Jewish students.
Oh, interesting.
So I feel like whenever you have that language, it's very suspicious. Like, okay, who are you trying to keep out? Yeah, black people, Middle Eastern people.
Totally. Those women. Those foreign women.
Women can go to Barnard.
Yeah, totally. Separate but equal.
Yeah. Yeah, the last time that Columbia expelled students for peaceful protest was 1936 when Robert Burke was expelled for rallying against Columbia's ties to Nazism. I just feel like the writing is on the wall. Like, I feel like people's, like, our souls are on the line here, you know?
I mean, they've clearly sold their soul.
They've sold their souls.
I mean, it's game over. They cannot recover. They can only now they're going to come for me. They can only like burn to the ground and be reborn like the phoenix.
Spiritually.
Because their integrity is kaput.
And the ironic thing is that I think Columbia has like the second highest percentage of Jewish students in the Ivy League. So like these cuts are going to directly apply to Jewish students, you know?
And also some of a large proportion of students who've been expelled have also been Jewish. Is that correct?
I know of one named Grant Minor.
Okay.
I don't know how many other Jewish students were. But yeah, when the White House announced the cuts, it did so with a tweet that said, "Shalom, Columbia." Which I'm like, anyone who thinks that these bitches, you know, have anything to stand for when it comes to like Jews, that they care about the Jewish people.
They don't care. They do not. If the number 2 guy at the White House, Elon Musk, and then the brain power, what's that guy's name? Frickin'.
I don't know. Sorry, who?
That guy that I love, but he's crazy.
Oh, Steve Bannon.
Steve Bannon. So Steve Bannon's like the mastermind of all this going way back. And Elon Musk, whatever, everybody knows about that guy because he's so embarrassing. He's
just autistic, Francesca. Don't be ableist.
I think he's also just really annoying.
No.
And his style.
I don't think that.
And his haircuts. Yeah. It's just like the Cybertruck is a design monstrosity.
Well, did you see they all got recalled?
I know. He's like the king of the nerds, fucking comes for his revenge, can't tell. Like, never got the social skills.
He's not even good at video games.
I know, he sucks. But him and Steve Bannon, like number 2 and 3, maybe you could say, are out there doing Nazi salutes.
Well, once again, Francesca, I'd like to remind you that Elon Musk is autistic.
So they know not what they do, I guess, is the defense that's been thrown up, right? And even the ADL, this is what they had to say about it.
Yeah, so his Italian representative, when he made the Nazi salute, he said, "Roman Empire is back, starting with the Roman salute." And then he removed the post and was like, actually, Elon Musk is just autistic. And he was expressing his feelings, and it wasn't fascist. It's like, all right, like, don't drag autistic people into this. They've done nothing wrong.
Totally. And then what did the ADL say?
It seems that Elon Musk made an awkward gesture in a moment of enthusiasm, not a Nazi salute. In this moment, all sides should give one another a bit of grace, perhaps even the benefit of a doubt, and take a breath.
And the ADL, if you don't know, is the Anti-Defamation League. What's the dude's name who runs it? I don't know, whatever his name is, Jonathan something. Which basically is would you say they're the primary force to conflate criticism of Israel with being anti-Semitic?
Yeah, they're not known for giving anyone a bit of grace,
Totally.
I would say.
For sure. So the point being that if you have major people in your administration who are regularly throwing up Sieg Heils, you probably aren't super focused and concerned with anti-Semitism.
So when Trump said that Chuck Schumer, is a Palestinian as far as he's concerned, he said he's become Palestinian. He used to be Jewish. He's not Jewish anymore. He's Palestinian, which I'm like, Chuck Schumer is like so pro-Israel. That's crazy.
Totally.
So the head of Trump's anti-Semitism task force, Leo Terrell, shared a tweet by a prominent white supremacist that lauded the president's ability to revoke someone's Jew card. Okay, so like I cannot think of anything more like Nazi than like saying who is Jewish and who is not. You know what I mean? These people are not your friends.
Totally. I was also reading another article in the much maligned New York Mag, but
maligned by us.
Maligned by us, yeah. But basically, this one op-ed that this guy was writing was like, he basically said, like, anytime you put Jews in the middle on an issue, it's not good for the Jews. This guy, Jonathan Jacoby of the Nexus Project, which is a progressive Jewish group, which I would just say, like, he's basically calling for, like, if this is what our friends are doing, like, we don't want their help, right? Because it's just, like, a dangerous place to be putting Jewish people, in my opinion.
Absolutely, especially by an administration that is cracking down on free speech, abducting people, you know, like
Whisking them away to faraway places where nobody can get in touch with them.
including El Salvador, and then saying you can't bring them back. I mean,
And there's nothing we could even do if we wanted to get them back. We can't get them back.
we're just America. There's also a House representative who's like, can't stop quoting Joseph Goebbels. Like, he's done it multiple times. And when someone criticized him, he was like, you're taking me out of context. And then he just like doubled down and put the quote on his website. So like, these are the people, you know, that are like cracking down on anti-Semitism.
A dream team, as it were.
And how many people in the government are evangelical Christians who believe that the second coming can't happen?
Unless the Jews are in Jerusalem.
Yeah.
How many?
You think they care about Jewish people?
Nah, man. This is about Christ rising again. Yeah.
My friend Charlie Kirk,
Yeah.
who I recently learned about, now I'm
Really? You follow him avidly?
my favorite little freak. Similar origin story to Hitler. Rejected from school. Spends the rest of his life trying to get revenge. He's, I guess, like some sort of evangelical Christian. And so he was arguing with like some 19-year-old about Palestine and like, you know, destroying him. And he was like, you have, like, the Bible says that Christians have a covenant to bless the Jews. And I'm like, all right, like, does that mean supplying Israel with billions of dollars of military equipment to like
How much last year?
$18 billion to decimate Gaza? Like, that's us blessing? Like, what kind of Christian are you, bro?
What kind of Christian are you dropping those 2,000-pound bombs on children?
I'll debate Charlie Kirk anytime, any day.
Yeah, please come join us.
That's
But like, if you cannot hold the moral high ground if you are indiscriminately killing women and children.
Nah.
It's not possible. If you believe in the slaughter of women and children and that they are acceptable casualties over and over and over again since the past year and a half, then you cannot be a Christian.
Jesus was born in Bethlehem, okay, which is currently in the West Bank. Just on Sunday, the IDF shot a 14-year-old American citizen who was picking olives from an olive tree with his friends. They said he was throwing rocks.
They shot and killed him under the accusation of throwing rocks.
Which is giving the NYPD, like, opening fire on the subway car. And then, like, Eric Adams coming out and being like, our brave NYPD officers were shot in the line of duty.
Yeah.
They were, like, shot by themselves. You know what I mean? It's like, no, like, those guns should have never been
drawn.
And you know what the U.S. government has said about this death of an American?
Nothing.
And this has happened multiple times, I think.
But he's not the right kind of American, Sarah. I think that that's pretty clear.
I think last year 4 U.S. citizens were killed in the West Bank and the Gaza Strip by Israelis, and all 4 families of those Americans said that they have heard nothing from the Justice Department, including one young woman who was participating in a peaceful protest in the West Bank and was also killed. I don't know how to say her name. Aysenur Igi. So, yeah, we really pick and choose which lives matter. At All Lives Matter people.
Yeah, for sure. So, I guess we're here to say that, or I'm here to say, like, yeah, come at me for my social media. Because on my father's side, I'm a 10th generation American. And am I allowed to say, like, German slurs?
What?
I mean, isn't
don't
Trump
know.
just like a kraut from like a couple generations ago?
Yeah, he is. He is German. He is of German heritage.
Yeah. So I just feel like, does he really, like, what kind of ground does he have to stand on? You know, there's some of us who've been here a lot longer than him.
Damn.
You know?
Damn.
Anyway, that's just my thought. But we did see that movie.
Yeah. No Other Lands.
Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, go for it.
It won the Academy Award for Best Documentary, which is kind of amazing because it also doesn't have any distribution deals because nobody will pick it up because it's so
Palestinian.
It's so Palestinian. And it takes place in the West Bank. And there's a shot. You were telling me that one of the directors just got picked up a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, he just got attacked by Israeli settlers, and then he was arrested for, like, being attacked, and then, yeah.
Was he disappeared, or is he...
He was brought back.
Okay. Which mirrors a scene at the end of the film. So basically what happened in the movie, which is a documentary, then, like, the exact same thing happened again, where he was taken, right?
Yeah.
And I was just, as I was watching it at Film Forum, which was, like, the only place that, and IFC maybe was showing it, in New York City, there's this little girl in it who's like a blonde. She's like a natural blonde. She's a Palestinian little girl. And throughout the course of the movie, her house gets bulldozed like multiple times. And I just was like, has the Trump administration watched this? Because I know they would not stand for natural blondes getting bulldozed. Like, that's where America draws the line.
That's where white supremacists draw the line.
Yeah. You cannot bulldoze blondes. You have to respect and revere the sanctity of a natural blonde. But I was also like, good move on the part of the filmmakers to be featuring the fuck out of that little blonde bitch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it's very hard for Americans to care about brown or black children.
Yeah, somebody who's not a blonde child. But nonetheless, they persisted and just bulldozed her house over and over again.
She was the one who, like, lived in the cave.
Yeah, who moved into the cave after her house got bulldozed.
And her brother
got shot and was permanently...
Yeah.
Well, he was just paralyzed below the neck, and then he eventually died, right? Yeah. I have to say the scariest part of that movie was this, not the IDF, because what I thought was the Israeli Defense Forces, what I thought was kind of interesting about the soldiers, and maybe I'm projecting, is that, like, I could see the confusion and conflict in their faces, mostly because they just looked like they were all 18 years old, and they didn't really know how they got there or what they were doing, and they were just kind of, like, frozen. But what I found the most sinister were the settlers who were bare-chested but masked up with, like, military-grade weapons. And that's the only thing I've ever seen like that, and this is a bit of a byway, is that when Sandy came through New York, I was living in Alphabet City, and the streets flooded in my neighborhood, and I was like, and everybody, all the white people fled, but I ended up staying. And we didn't have power for like a week. And I remember there were these like roving bands it was around Halloween when that happened. There were these roving bands of teenage boys who would just like wear all these Halloween masks over their faces and just like run, like just kind of like roam through the neighborhood with like baseball bats. It's the only time I've felt privy to like a potential breakdown of society, you know, and like none of these kids messed with me. Like, it was all good. But there was just a wildness in the street. Do you know what I mean? Like, there was no electricity, no lights. I was going up to Columbia because I was a student there at the time. So if you came down from Columbia, the buses would stop at 23rd Street and everybody would have to get off because that was the point at which the city went dark. And people would like come out with their torches and their flashlights, and we'd all get out at 23rd Street and like disperse into the darkness. You know what I mean? It was like a lawless land in New York City during that time. And the only other time I've seen anything like it was the settlers in this movie. These gangs of roving men who would come up on the Palestinians, and it was so clear, like the appetite was only for destruction and degradation, you know? And it was terrifying to me.
Yeah. And the soldiers are just watching it.
They're just watching. What are the number of deaths caused by settlers in the West Bank this year? It's like fairly high. I feel like you told me earlier.
I don't think I have that, but I think I have the number of
there has been a massive surge in settler violence in the West Bank since October 7th. I think that's pretty clear.
Yeah. I think they've killed, I think almost 200 children have been killed in the West Bank since October 7th. So that's another thing when we were talking about like pro-Hamas. It's like Hamas is not the governing body of the West Bank.
The Palestinian Authority is.
And that's still Palestine. So like people who are equating Hamas with like being pro-Palestine, like if I say that I'm like pro egg roll, does that mean I'm like pro the Chinese Communist Party? You know what I mean? It's like, it's not, it's distinct. Hamas is distinct from Palestine. And there are, Palestinian civilians.
Trying to live in the West Bank. And the thing that's powerful about No Other Land is that it all happened, the majority of the film takes place pre-October 7th. So you kind of just get to see what the like standard Israeli policy was in that area, which then of course accelerates greatly after October 7th.
Yeah, and it's crazy. There's that part where like Tony Blair comes to the neighborhood.
For 7 minutes. He visited this small town, which is the town that the documentary takes place in the 90s. He visited for 7 minutes. And as a result, Israel stopped for a period of years knocking down buildings in that town. There's the most painful part of that movie is towards the end when the Palestinians, like, it's very hard to get, there's all this bureaucratic red tape too, like they can't get building permits, they can't get water permits, they can't get this. And they went through this like incredible amount of hardship to build an elementary school for their children. And they were even harassed while they were building it. So they worked out this way that like the children, women and children would build it during the day and the men would build it at night under the cover of darkness. And they finally persevered and they built this school. And then there's this scene of a bulldozer driven by, I believe, an IDF soldier, just knocking down this school. Not to build anything new there.
In front of the children.
In front of the children.
In front of the children.
Not to build anything new. Just to knock it down. Just to break hearts and minds because they had claimed this town, which had existed for thousands of years, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was their land.
It was their land, their town. It's a very old town. And the point was that the Israeli government was claiming it as military training ground.
We need this for military training. All of Palestine they need for military training. Yeah.
But I did find something I found really touching about the film. If you've seen it, there's like a pretty, I don't think it's just me saying this, there's a pretty strong homoerotic undertone through the two main characters. So much so that at one point, one of them says, like, I wish we could just leave here together. And I was like, hold on. I was like, did I just hear that? And then later in the movie, the other one is like, when are we going to get married? And I was like, oh my God, thank God it's out in the open. And then I realized a moments later, like they mean like, when are they each respectively going to get married to women? But I sort of felt like the unsung story underneath it was like this beautiful story of like gay love and companionship, you know? And it made me sort of think like we all, and to be clear, this was like an Israeli journalist and this Palestinian activist. And it's sort of like, yeah, we're all like, that's the problem with making anyone our enemy. Is that like when you become an enemy to someone, like you are deeply entwined in their life, right? And like nothing is closer than the relationship of like two mortal enemies, you know? So like the more that Israel seeks to destroy Palestine, the more enmeshed Palestine is with the fate of Israel. And they're like these two lovers just endlessly circling each other and it's inescapable, you know?
Yeah, that's Francesca's gay lens on No Other Land. That's cool. I like that. Yeah.
I guess I just want to be like, I sort of think fascism is sort of gay.
Say more.
Like,
Break it down for us.
If like Israel, like being super right wing, like really loving that big, strong daddy, like be it a Netanyahu, be it a Putin, be it a Trump, like if you need that strong daddy so bad, that's kind of faggy.
Totally. A word we can say again, thanks to the end of woke DEI. Yeah, no, I agree. I've never seen adult men go so hard for homophobic adult men go so hard for another man as like these guys go for Trump.
Literally, I was reading, I don't know what representative it was, but he was like, the way he was praising Trump in a tweet, I was like, hold on. Oh, Trump, he's trying to get a military parade for his birthday. That's the direction this is going in. China, like our great, like this representative wrote, like our great leader, he's so smart. He just knows everything. And I was like, whoa, dude, the level of gush that's happening right now, it's not hetero. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's highly questionable.
So you're saying this is all about daddy issues?
I'm saying that, like, maybe what Trump really meant to do was to, like, make America gay again.
Damn. Bet you didn't see that one coming. Okay. Well, really interesting points. Lots to consider. Do you want to wrap up?
I don't know. I mean, is there really anything else to be said?
I just want to kind of leave you with a few statistics.
I would love that. Hit us with some facts, Sarah.
Okay. So, in conclusion, there are at least 50,000 Palestinians dead. This does not include those who have died from preventable disease, malnutrition, and other consequences of the war.
The majority of those 50,000 are women and children.
Definitely. Gaza has the most amputated children per capita in the world. Over 39,000 children have lost one or both parents in Gaza. In the last weekend of March, 15 bodies of first responders were found in a mass grave. Since October 7th, Israel has killed 408 aid workers and more than 200 journalists. And I just want to leave you with like a couple of other images. You know, in November 2023, Israel forced an evacuation from Al-Nasser Children's Hospital in northern Gaza. And there were children in critical condition that they could not move. And they had to leave those children there for, I think, like 2 weeks.
Including, I believe, premature babies in incubators.
There were definitely incidents of preemie babies dying in their incubators because of power outages. But yes, I think also at this hospital. Mm-hmm. And those children died alone and their bodies were left to decompose. Okay?
So if you believe that you're pro-life and you support what Israel's doing in Gaza, you don't give a fuck about babies.
I saw this video of this little girl and she was like, had only a few hairs left and she was brushing her hair and she was crying because she was like, it was like PTSD, like her hair had fallen out. And she was like, I just want to die and go to heaven so that I can have hair again. So, like, all of this is to say, like, if you don't care about what's happening in Gaza, like, I worry for your soul. You know, like, this is, like, anybody who looks at that and is like, that is justified, like, you will have to answer for that.
It's simply not Christian.
It's simply not Christian. It's not Jewish. It's not, there's no religion in the world that.
I mean, if you bow to the gods of paganism, fascism, and capitalism, then probably it's in line with your beliefs.
Yeah. And, like, none of this makes Israel safer for Jews. And, like, Israel just, I think this last week, you know, like, the Air Force.
Yes, so a large number of Air Force reservists, I believe just a few days ago, came forward saying that they feel that continuing the war is imminently threatening to the lives of the remaining 25 hostages. There's more than 25. There's something like 40 in the 40s or 50s, but 20, I believe 25 are still believed to be alive. And the reservists feel that continuing the war puts their lives at risk. And the most important thing is to get those hostages returned home.
And you know what happened to them?
What?
The military dismissed them from active duty. So the message from the Israeli government is like, we don't want to hear it. They don't care about the hostages. They just want to destroy Gaza. And they've said that.
I think they also, I think even more than that is they just want to hold on to power. And Netanyahu had so many corruption charges coming up against him when he tried to do that stuff right before October 7th about having it be so that the political party in power had more ability to elect judges. Like, this is a man desperate to hold power no matter the cost, even if it means prolonging a war that is incredibly destructive also to the citizens of Israel, whose soldiers are dying in the IDF, right? It's not a good place. It's not a good place to raise kids if the Iron Dome is intercepting bombs all the time. I have friends who live in Tel Aviv, and it's harrowing. They have 90 seconds to get from their apartment, which is I think on the 3rd or 4th floor, down to a bomb shelter every time the alarms go off. And they go off a lot. And they have 2 young children. Young children. That's not a way to live. And it's the greed and cowardice of Netanyahu that is continuing this situation, because he's doing it only for his own power. It is for the benefit of no one.
Yeah.
And I guess we're going to have to end on that somber note.
Yeah.
So watch your back on the streets. Don't like too many posts. You might end up in Salvador.